This image that you are seeing right now, I created this last year and it was one of my first projects in Blender which I made by following a tutorial made by Ducky3D. I was really just aiming for a mysterious kind of sci-fi lab. I just followed along the tutorial and ended up with this, and this was the first time I learned about mixing different textures and adding volume to your scene. And today in 2022 I'm going to recreate this after a year just to see how much I've improved and hopefully end up with something better than this. And as always, before I start the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more upcoming videos. And with that being said, let's begin the video. So I started the scene by modeling the glass tube in which the human model was going to be. For this I just created a cylinder, extruded it multiple times just to create something more interesting. Then I used some planes to create the walls, floor and the roof. And then I created some windows using the boolean modifier and added a plane with the glass material to make sure that everything outside the environment was visible. Then I used the same part of the cylinder, added a wireframe modifier just to create a barrier protecting the cylinder. And then I also created the upper portion, which was the connecting point between the roof and the cylinder. And it wouldn't really be science fiction without some wires attached to the cylinder. So I created two variations of wire using the curves. I made some larger ones and some smaller ones. After creating the wires, I made a few duplicates and adjusted their position, made them lie on the ground and made some hung to the roof. And then I created a cube, extruded it a few times, placed some glowing cylinders in them and placed it in the corner and copied it to the other side as well. And science fiction is mostly just about creating weird things like this that doesn't really make any sense, but they look super cool. And then for the other parts of the room and other parts of the cylinder, I couldn't find any suitable textures. I don't know, for some reason there aren't many science fiction textures out there. So I found an artist on ArtStation who was giving away some cool set of PBR textures for free. I downloaded them, applied them to the flat surface and added displacement to them later in the video. Then I wanted to add the earth outside the environment because a space scene would make a lot of sense in this case. So for that I followed a tutorial made by CG Geek. I just followed along the tutorial and ended up with an earth that looked pretty good. And then for the glass portion of the cylinder, I added a glass material and randomized the roughness using a noise texture connected to a color ramp. This made it a whole lot interesting. And for the environment, I added a sky texture and reduced the sun elevation to make sure it looked like a dark outer space scene. For the human model, I downloaded a character from Mixamo with a dynamic pose, imported it into Blender. I first made it face the camera, but then I rotated it along the Z-axis 90 degrees. And for the glass material of the cylinder, I also added a funnel node to give it some glowing edges. And for the wires attached to the cylinder, I again couldn't find any suitable textures. For the thicker wires, I just created a new material, added some roughness and metallicness to them and made them darker. For the smaller wires, I found a really cool set of PBR texture which I applied to them and that worked pretty well. And after that, I subdivided the plane and added some displacement to it and fixed some UV issues here and there. And then it was all about tweaking the settings and making some small changes here and there. One major change that I made at the end was adding a subdivision modifier to the barrier, and it just gave it a really unique look, and I kept it like that in the final render. added some pipes on the roofs, fixed some wire issues using proportional editing, added some more resolution to the wires, added emission to the upper part of the cylinder as well, and used a Fresnel node as the factor to tell Blender which part should give more emission than the other. And finally, used the multiplier node to intensify the emission coming from the walls, roof, and the planes. And after rendering the scene, I imported it into Photoshop, added a camera raw filter, increased the contrast, texture, clarity, added some color lookup presets, some glows to finally finish the scene. So what do you think about this 1 year evolution? If you liked it, make sure to tell me in the comments. And this artwork is also available as an NFT on OpenSea.com. So if you or someone you know is interested in it, make sure to check it out. The link is in the description. And if you like this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more upcoming videos. And I hope I'll see you guys in the next video.